Guru Nation, Happy New Year, Happy 2018. Hope you're doing well. I know it's cold on the East Coast and on the West Coast where I'm located. Right now it's raining, but it was great weather. The problem here is influenza. I was in the doctor's office, the wife was at the hospital, doctor's office, everybody I know is sick. So it's been a slow start to the year. Slow physically, but business-wise it's been really good. So digital marketing picking up, a lot of new studies on the horizon, a lot of new clients. And so this video is actually for those of you starting research clinics. I know there's a lot of New Year's resolutions this year. You're going to start a clinic. It happens every time in January. I'm going to start a clinic, whether you're a CRA or a study coordinator or just an entrepreneur. We took like 4 calls just today alone on people who want to start clinics. So one of the most important things, and we're actually going to have a webinar on this month in January. So if you're not subscribed to the email list, go to theclinicaltrialsguru.com so you don't miss out on this free webinar. We do monthly webinars for free. In January, the topic is going to be how to not lose a study. And when you're just starting out, you can't afford to lose a study because you may not get another one, or it may put you out of business, right? So the first thing about running a research clinic is obviously you want to start generating revenue as quickly as possible, but you also want to make sure that you survive long enough, because the first study you get is not going to be great unless you get lucky. Chances are the first study you get is going to have some problems. It's going to either be very high screen fail ratio, which sometimes I've seen 90% screen fail ratios. So what do you need to do then? You need to make sure that you're negotiating 100% screen fail reimbursements, right? A lot of these sponsors on the contracts and budgets, when they negotiate with you, and you guys don't know because you're new, you don't even ask what the screen fail rate's going to be. This is something you should ask at the site selection visit. What is your anticipated screen fail rate? Whatever they tell you, add another 20%, because they're probably, just like sites exaggerate on their feasibility surveys, sponsors tend to, especially when they're trying to sell you on doing the study, they tend to underplay those things. So you need to ask those things. What's the anticipated screen fail rate? If it's an add-on study, you can ask, what has been the screen fail rate so far, so that you know, so that when you go to negotiate these contracts and budgets, you can be compensated fairly for it. Because the first study you get, chances are there's a reason why they're choosing you with very little experience, either because they're having a hard time enrolling patients and you're a promising site that can bring patients, or just a very tough study to convince other sites to do. So, couple things. Make sure that it makes financial sense. Okay, make sure that you can at least randomize 2 patients. Okay, obviously try to randomize more, but if you can't randomize at least 2 patients, like if you know based on the protocol synopsis that you have 2 patients right now in your database that have already agreed to do the study that you can randomize. If you don't have at least that, don't do the study. You might be wasting your time and your money. Better to wait for another study. Okay, so let's get that out of the way. How many patients can you enroll? Next, do you have the staff to do this study? Okay, so who's going to be your coordinator? Is it going to be you? Do you have experience? If you don't have experience and you're going to be the coordinator, you better not pick a complicated protocol for your first protocol. We've had one client do this. Now he's out of business, okay? And despite us telling him, hey, we think you should either hire an experienced coordinator or pass on this study, he actually went against our advice, took the study, big budget study, right? 7-figure study, but for someone with no experience to take that on as their first study with a 90% screen fail rate on top of that is a recipe for disaster, okay? And you don't want to do that, okay? So make sure that you can handle the protocol, or you have somebody on staff that can handle it, all right? So those are really the 2 things that I would pay attention to. Everything else, obviously you want to keep the study, so you want to keep your queries within standard deviation of all the other sites. You want to keep protocol deviations to 0 if possible. All right, you want to make sure that you're answering queries on time. You want to make sure that you're not one of the slowest enrollers in the study, but also not one of the highest enrollers either, because chances are, if you're a high enrolling site, you have a better chance of getting audited by the FDA, and that's definitely not something you want when you're just starting out. So these are some things to keep in mind in 2018. I'm glad to be back. I'm about 85%, so we'll be doing more of these videos soon. Another podcast coming up, a webinar coming up. Talk to you later, Guru Nation. Take care. Happy New Year.